Welcome friends to Act 5, third recording. We'll revise what we did in the previous classes. Act 5, Scene 1, the scene begins before Prospero's cell. Prospero and Ariel. Prospero says that his charms were working and time was favoring him. Ariel reminds that at 6 o'clock they decided their work would end. Prospero agrees. He asks how was Alonso and his courtiers. Ariel says that Alonso and his followers, all of them were distracted as they had left them in the banquet scene. Gonzalo was rest of them were mourning over Alonso's state, and primarily who was most affected was Gonzalo. Prospero is surprised to notice that Ariel, despite being a spirit, despite being air, could feel their afflictions. And he says that if you could feel it, why would I not? He says that I had been provoked to take stern actions against them, yet I would make more use of my nobler reason than my fury, because the better virtue was forgiveness than seeking revenge. So his motive was to make them feel repentant, and he says that the moment they feel repentant, he did not intend to show any further anger. And Prospero asks the Ariel to bring them, and Prospero turns to the different demigods, the spirits who had helped him to create potential magic. The spirits of the hills, brooks, lakes, groves, sand, spirits who make sour ringlets by moonshine, spirits who make midnight mushrooms. Though they were weak spirits, but with their help, Prospero had created potential charms like bedimming the noontide sun, arousing multitudinous waves, raging a war between the sea and the sky, given lightning to thunder, rifted Jove's oak, shook the strong based promontory, uprooted the pine and the cedar tree. Graves had opened and have yielded their dead. And then he requests these spirits to provide him with some heavenly music, which is a comforter to distracted mind. So with the help of music, he wants Alonso, his courtiers, his relatives, his followers to redeem their senses, to restore their senses. And he says that once they feel repentant, he would break his staff and bury it in the earth. He would also bury his books in the sea, deep in the sea. Enter Ariel with Alonso, Gonzalo, Sebastian, Antonio, Adrian, Francisco. They all enter the circle which Prospero had made, and they all stand charmed. Prospero observes, speaks. He says that the solemn music, which is the best comforter to an unsettled fancy, may this music cure your brains. Now your brains are useless and consumed within your skull, because you have been spell stopped, you have been charmed. He turns to Gonzalo and says that my eyes are responsive to the show of yours, and I fellowly drops. He talks to himself and says that the charm is dissolving apace, and then there are three metaphors. Morning light drives away darkness. Morning light relates to repentance, their rising senses, their restoring senses, and darkness, illusory thoughts or delusions of happiness that these people had. They were pursuing material pleasures, they were in pursuit of materialism, and they were tainted, their souls were tainted with greed. Second metaphor is that of a mantle, a cloth which covers our body. Similarly, mantle is here the ignorant fume. Fume means smoke, dhua. Ignorant, why? It's the fume of ignorance. Ignorance when we pursue materialism by sacrificing our soulful pleasures, by deviating from the path of righteousness. This is ignorance because we feel that there is joy in material pleasures. But for that we taint our soul, we commit sin, and what we sacrifice is heaven, what we sacrifice is our soul. So that is ignorance. So they were covered with ignorant fumes because they gave more value to materialism uh, than simplicity, than uh, goodness and soulful joys. Third metaphor is that of the swelling tide, the waves. The seashore is full of dirt and filth. Similarly, their minds were full of greed. Their minds were, the greed was full of, was the dirt, the filth, and just as the approaching tide clears the shore, the seashore of dirt and filth, similarly, clearer reason is like the wave, approaching wave, which will remove all the dirt and filth from their soul. And he tells Alonso that you had ill treated me and my daughter. Your brother was an accomplice in the conspiracy, and he says because of that your brother Sebastian is being pinched. He turns to his own brother Antonio and says that you entertained ambition and you expelled remorse and nature, and you, along with Sebastian, your inward pinches are more strong. I forgive you. Though Antonio and Sebastian, he says that you intended to kill Alonso. Unnatural thou art, that is, you do not have natural human feelings. And then he realizes that their understanding begins to swell, and the approaching tide will shortly fill the reasonable shore that now lies foul and muddy. This is the third metaphor. Not one of them that yet looks on me would know me. Ariel, fetch me my hat and dagger, and exit Ariel. I will disguise myself and present myself as I was the king of Milan. Quickly, spirit, you shall before long be free. Re-enter Ariel, who sings while helping to attire Prospero. Ariel sings songs of freedom, and Prospero asks Ariel to go to the king's ship, retain his invisible shape, and bring the boatswain and the master to this lawn. Ariel says that he would do that immediately. Prospero curses the island and says that the island was full of trouble, wonder, amazement, and he wanted some angel to guide them out of this fearful country. Prospero, behold, Sir King, the wronged Duke of Milan. I am the wronged Duke of Milan, Prospero. And to give you more assurance that I am a living prince, what does he do? He embraces Alonso. Okay? And to you and your company, I give a hearty welcome. Alonso says, whether you are Prospero or some enchanted trifle, some illusion which has come to embarrass me, to frustrate me, as recently I have been, refers to the banquet scene, I do not know, but he gives two reasons why he should believe that Prospero was a living prince. Number one, his pulse beats of flesh and blood, and number two, since he met Prospero, since he saw Prospero, the disease, the distraction of his mind was getting better, was recovering, and earlier he felt that he was grasped by a madness. And he tells that if you are Prospero, this would require a most strange story. He resigns the dukedom. He says, I give the dukedom to you and I request you to pardon me my wrongs. But it is surprising, how should Prospero be living and how should Prospero be here? Prospero says, first noble friend, let me embrace your age. So he embraces Gonzalo, whose honor cannot be measured or confined. We are continuing with the revision. Gonzalo says, whether this be he or not, I cannot swear. Prospero says, you are still experiencing some weakness, some illusions of the island that will not let you believe in things which are certain. Welcome, my friends all. Aside to Antonio and Sebastian, he warns them that you two lords, if I intended, I could prove you as traitors, as conspirators, and I could provoke His Highness Alonso to rebuke you, to frown upon you. But this time I will tell no tales. We'll start from here. Sebastian aside says the devil speaks in him. This is just an expression, nothing deep into it. The devil speaks in him. That is, devil has taken the form of Alonso. Prospero. Prospero says, no, for you, most wicked Sir Antonio, to whom calling a brother would infect my mouth, would defile my mouth. If I call you brother, that would make my mouth dirty and foul, because you do not deserve to be called a brother. I do forgive your rankest fault. Rankest means most sinful. Better word, heinous, Heinous. I forgive your most heinous fault, all of them, and I demand my dukedom from you, Antonio, which perforce you have no choice. By force, I know you must restore. Alonso says, if you beest Prospero, if you are Prospero, give us the particulars, details of thy preservation, how you were saved, how you survived in the sea. How thou hast met us here, how did you meet us here in this island? Who 3 hours since were wrecked upon this shore. So we were wrecked upon this shore 3 hours ago, 3 hours back. And how did you meet us here? Where I have lost. And he is reminded of his son Ferdinand. And he says that how sharp, how painful the point of this remembrance is. This recollection is so painful. Oh, my dear son Ferdinand. Prospero says, I am woe for it. I am sorry for it. Alonso says, irreparable is the loss. This loss cannot be repaired. And Patience says it is past her cure. This is an example of personification. Patience says it is past her cure. It means that Patience cannot comfort me in this sorrow. Or even Patience says that I cannot comfort you. Prospero says that I think that you have not sought the help of Patience. You have not seek past tense, sought the help of Patience. So you have not sought the help of Patience. You have not asked Patience to help you. You have not used Patience. Otherwise, he wants to say that if you had used Patient would have definitely provided you comfort. Of whose soft grace, soft matlab kind grace. So as far as Patience is concerned, Patience has been kind towards me because I sought the help of Patience. For the like loss means similar loss. Just as you lost your child, even I lost my child. So he is referring to Miranda. He lost his daughter Miranda in love with Ferdinand, because it is the nature of the maidens to leave the house of the father. When they grow up, they get married and they leave the house of the father. And he knows that it was imminent because Miranda was in love with Ferdinand. She would soon marry Ferdinand and leave Prospero and go to Naples. He is referring to that loss. So he says that I had a similar loss. Okay, but he creates a dramatic situation where he laments. He says that just as you lost your son, I lost my daughter. For the like loss, I have her sovereign grace. Sovereign means supreme. God को हम लोग supreme बोलते हैं. Sovereign aid मतलब help, her heavenly help. Whose heavenly help do I have? I have the help of Patience. And rest myself content. I am content, I am satisfied, I am comforted. Who has comforted me? Patience has comforted me. You the like loss, you had a similar loss? Prospero says, yes, as great to me as late. As late, matlab recently. Recently, I had this loss. And supportable to make the dear loss, as far as support is concerned, I have lesser support, I have lesser endurance than you have. Why? Because my daughter will go to your house and you will not only have a son but also a daughter. So he is not revealing that Ferdinand is alive. He is creating a dramatic situation because he wants him to be, the more surprised a person is, the happier he will become when later he notices that his son is alive. So he's creating that dramatic situation, leading him to the cave where he would reveal that your son is alive, so that the happiness would be extreme. So he wants to intensify the happiness. So he says that as far as support is concerned, I have lesser support. Why does he have lesser support? Because he has lost his son, his daughter Miranda. His Miranda would soon be leaving him and going to Naples. Okay, so you will have better support. You will not only have the support of your son, but also the support of your daughter. But as far as I am concerned, I have lesser support. Okay, supportable to make the dear loss, this great loss, have I means much weaker than you have. I have lesser means than you have, than you may call, to comfort you. So you have more means to comfort you than I have. For I have lost a daughter. A daughter, you lost a daughter. Oh heavens, I wish that they were both living and in Naples. ऐसा होता कि वो लोग जिंदा रहते, if they were living and if they were both in Naples, I would have made them the king and the queen there. I would have married your daughter to my son and they would have been the king and the queen of Naples. That they were, and to make this happen, that my son was alive and your daughter was alive and I would marry them, I am ready to give my life. I am ready to bury myself in the seabed as a sacrifice so that your daughter and my son revive. Okay, come back to life. They were living both in Naples, the king and queen there, and that they were, I wish myself were mudded in that oozy bed. And to make this happen, I wish I were mudded, I were buried in that oozy bed. Ooze is the seabed. The soft sea mud is called the seabed. It has the soft sea mud. So that is called the ooze. So oozy bed matlab the seabed, the base of the sea. So myself were mudded in the oozy bed where my son lies. So I wish I were buried and my son and your daughter were alive. When did you lose your daughter? In the last tempest. Why? Because it was the tempest which brought Ferdinand to the shore. I perceive, I notice that these lords at this encounter, at this meeting, do so much admire. They are so surprised that they devour their reason. Devour hota hai swallow, devour hota hai eat greedily, but they have devoured their reason. Iska matlab kya? Reason matlab kya? Judgment. Common sense, that means they are not able to use their common sense. इसका मतलब यह है कि surprise has devoured their sense, surprise has devoured their reasoning. इसका मतलब they are so surprised that they cannot reason, they are so surprised that they cannot use their judgment, they cannot use their common sense, and scarce think, they hardly think that their eyes do offices of truth, their eyes are doing functions of truth. इसका मतलब what their eyes are showing them is true. इसका ये हुआ कि they are so surprised that they cannot realize that what they are seeing is true. इसका मतलब they do not believe that Prospero is alive. They still think that he is some kind of an illusion. And their words are natural breath. So they hardly believe in what they say, they hardly believe in what they see. But howsoever, you have been jostled out of your senses, you have been pushed out of your senses, you have been shaken out of your senses. Know for certain, so jostled out of your senses matlab you are unable to use your senses. Okay, you have been so distracted that you have lost your senses. Know for certain, that it is for certain that I am Prospero and the very duke which was thrust forth of Milan. So I am the same Prospero, the same duke who was thrust forth. Thrust forth means driven out, or okay, so I am the same Prospero who was driven out, banished from Milan, and who most strangely upon the shore, and in a very strange manner, I have landed upon the shore where you were wrecked. In the same shore where your ship was wrecked, I also landed upon the shore. I was landed, I arrived, and I became the lord of this island. No more yet of this. I will not discuss this story now because it is a very lengthy story and it will take a long time to discuss. So I will not discuss it now, for it is a chronicle that is day to day narration. 1975 में क्या हुआ, 1976 में क्या हुआ, फिर 77 में क्या हुआ. तो इस तरह से serial wise, sequence wise narration को chronicle बोलते हैं. It is a chronicle. My reaching this place and surviving is a long story which would take days to narrate. Not a relation. Relation means narration. It is not a narration for a breakfast. It is not such a short narration which can be discussed at breakfast or befitting for this first meeting. It is not also suitable for this first meeting. Welcome, sir. This cell is my court. This cell, court होता है where the king rules. King के दरबार को court बोलते हैं, ठीक है ना? Where all the courtiers meet and all the decisions are taken up. That's a place in the palace. So this cell is my palace. Here I have few attendants, and who are those attendants? We know Ariel, Caliban and other spirits. He says I have few attendants and subjects none. Subject कौन होता है? Subject होता है प्रजा, जिस पे राजा राज करता है, जिनके बारे में सोचता है. Citizens, जैसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो सिटीजन्स उसके सब्जेक्ट है, वैसे किंग तो उसके देश के जो सिटीजन्स है वो उसके सब्जेक्ट्स है. सब्जेक्ट्स नन अब्रॉड. सो आई डोंट हैव एनी सब्जेक्ट टू रूल ओवर. नन अब्रॉड. Abroad, that is in this country, in this island. Pray you look inside. So he asks him to look inside the cave. And my dukedom, since you have given me, so since you have restored me my dukedom, I will requite you, I will repay you with as good a thing. I will also repay you with something which is as good as, it will give you as much happiness as I feel when I receive my dukedom, when the dukedom is restored to me. So it will repay you with as good a thing, as much, at least bring forth a wonder. You will be surprised. To content you, you will be satisfied and contented as much as me of my dukedom. Just as I am contented restoring my dukedom, you will also be surprised. The entrance of the hall open and discovers Ferdinand and Miranda. So the entrance of the cell opens and it reveals, it shows Ferdinand and Miranda playing at chess. Miranda says, sweet lord, you play me false, you are cheating me. Ferdinand says, no my dearest love, I am not cheating you. I would not for the world. Even if all the wealth of the world were at stake, अगर पूरा दुनिया का धन जो है वो दाव पे लगा होता, दाव पे लगने को लोग बोलते हैं at stake. Even if all the wealth of the world were at stake, I would not cheat you. I would still not cheat you. मिरांडा सेज येस फॉर अ स्कोर ऑफ किंगडम्स. तो मिरांडा भी वैसे ही बोलती है कि अगर हम स्कोर 20 किंगडम्स दाव पे लगाते और तुम चीटिंग करते मेरे साथ, तब भी हम बोलते कि तुम चीटिंग नहीं कर रहे हो. ठीक है. सो येस फॉर अ स्कोर ऑफ किंगडम्स यू वुड रैंगल मतलब क्वारल. इवन इफ यू क्वारल प्लेइंग फाउल एंड सेइंग दैट इट इज फेयर. ऐसे अगर क्वारल करो तुम चीटिंग करके कि नहीं हम चीटिंग नहीं किए और मेरा 20 किंगडम दाव पे लगा है, हम खुशी खुशी वो 20 किंगडम्स दे देंगे. I would call it fair play. I would still say that it is fair play. You are playing fair. Alonso says, if this proved to be a vision of the island, अगर हम जो देख रहे हैं ये illusion हुआ, if this is an illusion, then my dear son I shall lose twice. One dear son shall I twice lose. One dear son, I will lose my son twice. Why? First he had lost him in the tempest, and he thinks that his son is drowned, so he lost his son. But now he sees that his son is alive. But if this is an illusion, it will be short lasting. और थोड़ी ही देर में ये illusion भी disappear कर जाएगा, dissolve कर जाएगा. तो ये जब हम इसको देख रहे हैं, अगर ये illusion है तो क्या हुआ? It has aroused the thoughts in me that the hope in me that my son is alive. और अचानक ये अगर इल्यूजन डिसअपियर हो जाए तो ये होप मेरा फिर से मर जाएगा. तो पहले मेरा सन का डेथ हुआ, अब मेरे होप का डेथ हो जाएगा. सो शैल आई लूज ट्वाइस, आई शैल लूज माई सन ट्वाइस. तो इसका एक ये मीनिंग है कि इफ दिस प्रूव टू बी अ विजन ऑफ द आइलैंड, अगर ये इस आइलैंड का विजन है तो फिर आई विल लूज माई सन ट्वाइस. सो ये विजन मेरे को होप दिलाता है कि मेरा सन अलाइव है. फिर क्या होगा? थोड़ी देर बाद डिसअपियर हो जाएगा मेरा सन फिर से, क्योंकि होप होने के बाद फिर से डेथ. तो आई विल लूज माई सन ट्वाइस. थैंक यू सो मच. प्लीज कीप सपोर्टिंग. आई विल कीप पोस्टिंग वीडियोज लाइक दिस. आई होप यू अटेंटिवली cover the syllabus. Do let me know how you like this. That's all for today. Thank you so much.